Hi, I'm Thomas Smart, and the second edition of my book, Serverless Beyond the Buzzword, was recently published. Now, compared to the first edition, the new book has considerably more content and delves far deeper into the different topics around serverless architecture. Now, this is a series of articles and videos where I walk through each of the new book's chapters, summarizing the content and providing some additional commentary. Chapter 5 is all about people, from hiring to training to career progression. The evolution of serverless technology brought with it a similar evolution in team roles. Not necessarily anything new, but a refocusing and specialization of existing roles. For serverless, a deep understanding of the many available cloud services and their relevant security aspects is really crucial. This is different from a traditional IT architect role where the knowledge is focused on technology stacks, operating systems, and networking. The first consideration in a serverless talent strategy will be to build, buy, or borrow. Build means upskilling existing teams in serverless competencies. It can also mean hiring candidates without serverless experience but with the capacity to learn and then upskilling them in the serverless competencies that are required. Buy means attracting and hiring talent that already has serverless experience, headhunting them from competitors or cloud providers, for example. Borrow means working with vendors, cloud consultancies, freelance cloud architects, development vendors, or resources provided by a cloud provider under a support contract. Experienced serverless talent can be hard to find, but the skills can be learned, which makes build a great option for organizations that already have application teams willing to learn something new. There are a few key roles in a serverless organization. The solution architect is probably one of the highest demand job roles in serverless architecture. This role will be expected to have both experience and knowledge breadth and depth across many cloud services. They will be the one to design complex solution architectures spanning tens of services to meet the project requirements. A cloud security engineer really specializes in security systems and tools for managing vulnerabilities, and they play an important role in protecting the sensitive business data. Lacking or having a bad deployment pipeline is very inefficient for any project. Using a good deployment pipeline is relatively easy, but building one suited for different types and sizes of projects while also being serverless requires hands-on proven experience. Such responsibility typically falls to a deployment automation or DevOps engineer. Part of their scope, however, will be to teach developers how to be better at DevOps themselves. The modern developer is typically a full-stack developer, even though they may have a preference for front or back end. For serverless, we will typically look for TypeScript or JavaScript developers if we are making web applications, and perhaps Python if we're working on more analytics or back-end solutions. For fully serverless solutions, we often need to work with non-relational databases, and these can be complex and need the right data model. The database engineer should be experienced with all kinds of cloud databases and know which one is suitable for which solution's data model and expected queries. Project managers assigned to serverless projects will need to be comfortable managing many mini projects in parallel. This is really a common approach as each component, such as a microservice, can be considered its own mini project with an assigned budget, developer, and timeline. Toward the end of the project, coordination and collaboration will be needed to perform the end-to-end test to ensure all the components are working well together. When we talk about building a team, we typically mean training existing staff that are interested in serverless. Whether we are looking to validate serverless competency or learn a new skill, serverless training and certification is a great way to gain and test knowledge. As the serverless computing pioneer, AWS offers several certifications at different levels to validate expertise. While there are no specifically serverless certifications, at least not yet, most of the existing certs do contain serverless topics, so they are still worthwhile to pursue. Serverless developers have a few career paths available to them, depending on their interests and skills. Many developers will want to remain hands-on with code and simply progress through full-stack seniority levels or specialize in security, purpose-built databases, or other similar areas. Some developers may have a talent for mentoring, leadership, and communication. This path can go all the way to enterprise executive, or they might branch off to focus on project delivery and stakeholder management. The architect path might be suitable for team members more interested in cloud infrastructure, strategy, and big picture design. This path has levels of seniority up to executive, or it can branch off to focus on training. Buy is all about talent acquisition. Depending on the existing talent within the organization, it may be unavoidable to hire externally to get the right people and minimize reinventing the wheel and reduce risk and errors. Competition is fierce, and an organization must offer an attractive working environment with a suitable culture for innovation and modern cloud architecture. There are skilled serverless engineers frustrated at organizations that don't support it well, so sharing your cloud strategy that does is a great way to attract talent. It's also important for the organization to vet candidate skills, asking the right questions and digging deep into serverless challenges and architecture case studies. Chapter 5 provides several examples of such questions and other ways to vet a potential candidate or vendor. Borrow means to work with vendors. Some organizations already use vendors for their application development needs. Other organizations might use vendors or freelancers to temporarily augment small teams or fill gaps when team members are on leave. Either way, taking a multi-repo split team approach will make it easier to manage individual contributors and the application's overall security. A challenge with serverless is the lack of experienced developers in the market. This applies to vendors as much as it does to candidates. The few vendors that have sufficient experience tend to be more expensive than vendors without it. However, we need to consider the total cost of ownership. The significantly reduced operational costs of serverless, lower maintenance and overheads, and shorter development timelines, and the ease of operation gained from modern DevOps practices can usually make up for the higher one-time cost of development. There are vendors who are able to do serverless architecture and development, and even those who specialize in serverless. For example, the AWS partner site lists preferred vendors with a serverless capability. Searching for relevant terms, such as between quotes, serverless Lambda developer agency, can also return some useful results, but make sure to vet them and confirm they have the right experience and capabilities. And that brings us to the end of this chapter. A link to the book and to my blog with all of the chapter articles and videos can be found in the video description. Please connect on LinkedIn, and if you buy the book, please leave a review on Amazon. Thank you.